Welcome to Creating Disney Magic with Lee Cockerell, lessons in leadership, management, and customer service. You can create magic too. I'm your host, Jody Mayberry, and of course, I'm here with Lee Cockerell, the retired executive vice president of Walt Disney World. How are you doing, Lee?
I'm good. No complaints today. Thank you.
Yeah, well, it's good. Now, Lee, you took some time off from the speaking circuit, but you've been out there speaking again lately. How I know you've, even though you are a closet introvert, which many people may not know, but I know you just love being with the people and hearing applause and answering questions and shaking hands. So, how's it been for you to be back out there?
Well, I enjoy it. It's kind of I tell people it's my golf game and people appreciate it. So if people appreciate you, you probably like doing whatever that is more often. And so I'm going to San Antonio tomorrow to speak to a group of orthodontists. And I've got a couple of requests this week for Cancun and next year. And I'm still doing a lot locally when conventions or conferences come to Orlando and some remote ones. So it's good. It's fun. I enjoy doing it.
Well, if Lee mentioned Cancun, he's going there to speak. But if you want to go there for vacation, call our friends at Magical Vacation Planner. You can reach them at 407 442 2694. Lee, I have a listener question that I think is very timely. And let me add some personal context. Some of the software platforms that Lee and I use recently sent us emails saying, we haven't raised our prices in 10 years and prices are going up now. And we felt it everywhere else. When you travel, prices are up. When you go to the grocery store, prices are up. Well, we have a listener question, Lee, that said, prices keep going up. And there she's curious, how do you best communicate this to your customers? So, Lee, if you're going to raise prices, I'm sure you've been through that. I remember you've got a great story about when you were with, I think it was Hilton at the time, when you raised the price of a hamburger above $2 for the first time. I know you had several price increases when you were at Disney. How do you communicate price increases to customers?
Well, it's certainly something nobody wants to hear. Yeah, and I was the restaurant manager at actually it was the Philadelphia Marriott. A burger with fries was $2.95. And my boss said we got to raise prices, and we agreed it. And he wanted to go to 310, and I was like, and I said, man, that's 310 because back then when you kind of approach that number where you flip over to from the two to the three, psychologically, I personally thought, see it as a bigger increase than it really is, and he said, no, we got to do it. And we did it. And it was not that big a deal. Nobody said much about it. And I had to really work on it because I've always been sensitive to price increases for customers because in the business I'm in, hotel business and restaurant business, uh, people are, people from all walks of life use it and they are sensitive. And one of the hardest things we have to do is I worked in different hotels was let's say a room is $400 a night. That's very difficult for a new hourly employee on the front desk to say because they just can't imagine $400 a night. And and right now I'm thinking about that too. The Waldorf Astoria in New York reopened recently, had been closed for 7 years under renovation, and the average rate now is $1,500 a night. That's the rack rate, and friends of ours own the Ritz Carlton down in Wall Street, or people I know, and really the rate is basically 1,200 to 1,500 a night, and I must say, I think I grew up worrying about money all the time, and my family did, I don't care how much money I have, I'm still not paying $1,200 a night to sleep. And I'm that guy that goes and finds another place somewhere else. But there, you got to understand your market, and we're seeing it though. But people are really pulling back too. That's the other problem. How do you tell your guests? How do you tell your customers? Um, you can share information with them. You can share the news. You can share. A lot of people don't keep up with what is happening in the reality of price increases and the tariffs now, and the rains in some area that causes something to go up. The shortage of beef right now around the U.S. Beef farmers are having problems, and all of a sudden you go to a restaurant and a steak is $62. you go, what? And the more knowledge you have about what's going on, the better explanation you can give. Certainly, when freight goes up, truck drivers go up, it costs more to bring it. Employees want increases in salary and prices, and it goes on and on and on. And all you can do is try to logically tell people the truth and or what are alternatives. And I must say, right now, I never have gone. I don't know if I told you this recently, but um, when you tell people, but they're not necessarily going to like it. And if you can provide any documentation showing that why it went up and where it came from and what's causing that, and maybe you can offer some alternatives to take some of the sting out of it. But I noticed and I'm never worried about prices too much, but I've noticed recently it's a real issue. And I talk about it more. And I've never been to Walmart in my life to buy groceries, and I've gone there 3 times this week. And everything I would say that I bought was 15 to 20% cheaper, and just as fresh and just as nice. And I told Priscilla, "Can you believe that? I never believed they said we have the best prices." Well, they do. Some little crackers I bought were $5.89 at our local store, and they were $4.20 at. I mean, these are big difference. And so sometimes the company, of course, doesn't want to offer any advice on how their customers can save money by going to a competitor, but certainly the customers can do that research and find a way. But I think you just got to keep your customers informed about how your business is going. And I get a notice from my power company and from my water company. Now they tell me halfway through the month how much it's looking like it's going to be, if I need to cut back a little bit. Uh, they told me this week that my water bill was more than the average family in my neighborhood. And I think that's my grandson must be in the shower for 2 weeks when he goes in there. But it's hard. But and you would say, well, everybody knows prices are going up. People don't know. People don't really know unless you're reading about it, watching the news, understanding what's happening with the demand for wage increases. So you've got to be well informed on business facts, and then do your best to communicate those. And anytime you can pre-warn your customers that it's coming, kind of get them ready for it, that we're continuing, and I think that's what a lot of companies are doing with the tariffs right now. They're not charging us yet. They're kind of preparing our brain for it. We talk about it a lot, and it's just a little bit so far. But eventually that will break loose, and I think that we will have all. I think we've all been prepared for our price increases right now, and so it's hard, and it comes sometimes at the worst time when everything else is the world is in a predicament, and then you want to also tell the customers you're raising your prices 20% or 10% or 5%. And I would say you always need to try to justify that. Tell them why. Here's why we had to raise it. Same old story with everything. Tell the story, tell the why, and have the facts. And the customer will decide if they can stay with you or make alternate decisions, and that's about all you can do, I think.
So, Lee, I wonder if it needs to go a little beyond just why. So, for example, I mentioned the software Lee and I use, and their why was we haven't raised prices in 10 years. And as their customer, my first thought is, I don't care. What's in it for me? So,
Yeah.
how do you justify or not justify? How do you position it when now, as a businessman, I know you haven't raised prices in 10 years. It's legitimate to say, okay, things have gotten so expensive, we have to. So, how do you take that legitimate reason, but also show why it's in the best interest of your customer that you have to do this?
Well, I think two things. First, I wouldn't say that we haven't raised them 10 years. I would say, as you know, costs are going up and here's the new price increase. I'm not sure that you even knew it had been 10 years and you probably didn't care. All you knew is what you were paying. And their salaries have gone up, their rent has gone up, their everything they do has gone up. And that's where I would focus is on reality of what's happening. Not saying we haven't raised 10 years because I couldn't tell you what somebody was charging over the last 10. All I know is the bill I get this month for something, and I don't really recall what it used to be. Although I did find an old checkbook recently from like back in the 80s or 90, 93, I think it was. And I was looking through there and it's like, whoa, inflation's real. But yeah, uh, it's reality, and I think what you just said. Don't tell me what you haven't done for 10 years, and you probably shouldn't wait 10 years. You probably should incrementally raise the prices, and hopefully they didn't come in with a giant increase. Maybe they did. I don't know. And then every consumer is going to think, okay, I can pay this, or I can look for alternatives. So that's, and I think the one you talking about is probably we're not a good alternative. We like them. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's not something we want to stop
Yeah.
using, but still,
And when you're
uh,
good, you can get away with it. When
yeah,
you're in
that's
demand,
a good point.
you got a great product, you get away with it. Because I said, even the best restaurant in town doesn't have a recession like everybody else. When you're high quality and reliable and do a good job and provide good value, people will keep coming. Look at the price we pay for coffee. I mean, I had a latte this afternoon. It was $7.58. And when I was a young man, coffee was a nickel. So it's where you are with what you can afford and how much you value the value they bring you. And I think the expertise is worth a lot these days. And reliability, expertise and reliability. So you pay the price or you move on, you find somebody else, and then maybe you'll be sorry you did. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's a great way to do it is just to show if one be so good that even if a customer complains about a price increase, just like Lee and I just did, said, well, we don't like a 25% price increase, but we're also not going anywhere. You
Yeah,
can do that when you're that
they'll
good.
probably raise my coffee again, and I'll keep buying it. I'll go, and I won't complain. I'll just think about it occasionally and wonder why I'm doing it. But it's
Yeah.
and I'm paying for more than the coffee. I'm paying for the event, the place, great service, the ambiance. It's just all real worth it. It's not just the coffee, and they're providing a lot of stuff around the coffee that
Yeah,
worth
that's right.
it.
And I think when you position it that way, Lee, people realize it's not the price of my coffee went up. It's to maintain the level of service. It's to make sure the lights are on when I come there. It's to make sure that that experience that I have is unchanged. And even if you have to increase prices and you're not offering anything else, just reinforce why they're your customer anyway. Remind them how good you are.
because the ones that are great take the hassle out of your life, and that's worth something. Predictability,
Yeah.
you pay for predictability, you pay for reliability, you pay for quality, you pay. That's hard to get your hands on, but it's something that lets you sleep better at night.
Yeah. Well, one thing that has been the same price for 4 years now is the Cockerell Academy. $399 for 1 year of guided, curated experiences through leadership, management, customer service based on courses that we've created, focusing in on those areas. So if you want a great deal, I think the Cockerell Academy is where you get it. Go to cockerellacademy.com. That's where you can sign up. Not only do you get the courses, the guided courses, you get monthly community calls where you'll get the chance to ask Lee a question. And if you pay the annual membership for the Cockrell Academy, you get the Main Street Leader Plus, which is the monthly newsletter in addition to extra content in usually video or audio form to enhance what you're learning. It is probably the best deal out there. At least that's my opinion. You can go to cockerellacademy.com, find out more. And if you have a question or a comment you want us to talk about, send it in. You can send it to support@cockerellacademy.com or just find either one of us. Lee's at leecockerell.com. I'm at jodymayberry.com. Until next week, go out and create magic for others.